Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an Airbus pilot, and welcome to our next flight in the fly-by-wire Airbus A380. We're in Dubai and we're going to fly over to Tokyo today on the Emirates flight 318 to Narita airport. About 9 hours and 20 departing Dubai right in the morning, so that we are landing in the late afternoon over in Tokyo. Alright, let's go ahead and head over into our aircraft, and we are going to start with our boarding actually. Now, the ground service bus is on already, our cabin is already lit up and powered. The flight deck is not, so we are going to head inside now and start turning things on ourselves. So let's take a seat on the captain's seat of the fly-by-wire Airbus A380. Now the engine masters are off, the start switch is in the norm position, landing gear lever down, and the wipers are off. And with that we can go ahead and turn the batteries on and the external power units as well. So, while the airplane is powering up, we can start worrying about the cockpit lights, and I am going to turn the ambient light all the way up and the main panel floodlight up quite a bit as well. So next up we can turn our display units to something sensible like this, and finally down here as well, and on the right side as well. So the airplane is slowly coming up to life over here, and then we can go ahead. It's still rather warm outside, even though it is just past midnight over here. So let's go ahead, run the APU fire test and the engine fire test, and then we can start up the APU. Alright, while that's in progress, let's go ahead with our aircraft acceptance. So we'll do a recall, nothing in there. We have nothing on the MEL or the CDL. We have no OEBs for the aircraft, and the general condition is good. Okay, so aircraft configuration summary, it's a basic Emirates aircraft. So then, waiting for the APU to come alive, and it is already starting. In the meantime, what we can do is to go all the way up here, import our SimBrief data. Here we go. So temperature 29 degrees outside, definitely, well, still rather warm, let's call it that way. Right, APU availed, so APU bleed is coming on right now. Also, let's put the nav lights on already so that our colleague can see something on the walk around. Then let's do our safety checks. So we do have sufficient oxygen for the flight, we do have sufficient hydraulic quantity for the flight, and then we can have a look into the engine oil quantity. So let's power up the FADEC. Here we go. And it's showing 0. Well, that would obviously be a case for maintenance, but I think that's just not modeled in the fly-by-wire yet, so let's not blame them for that. Alright. Let's just assume the quantity is good. ADRs going over to nav, and then we can quickly check the flaps, agree with the lever, the spoilers are retracted. Release that parking brake, please, and check the brakes, which are looking good. And parking brake is set again. Wonderful. Okay, so before we go ahead with anything else, let's go ahead and request our flight plan. So A380-800 with the Rolls-Royce engines, and the nav database is current. Very good. So company flight plan request, and this is going to take a while since it is a rather long flight plan. We can use that time though to work on our electronic flight bag. So let's start by actually checking what our flight plan has to offer for us. Okay, so that is our general route of flight. As you can see, it looks rather Chinese. It is rather Chinese. And I can count 1, 2, 3 Beijing turns in here. Wow, that's got to be a record for one of my flights on this channel. 3 90-degree turn en route. Okay, apart from that, looking at the significant weather charts, we are flying along the jet stream over here, flying along 2 jet streams over China, and then as we get over the Korean Peninsula and over Japan, we have, well, still jet streams on the back, and there is some rather bad weather coming in with some typhoons down there. So let's see if they reach all the way to Tokyo. Let's go ahead and have a look at the local weather scenarios now. Okay, so weather, SIGMET, Fukuoka FIR. That is low-level stuff, severe turbulence. And that is high-level stuff, frequent thunderstorms. Okay. Well, in terms of our destination airport, Tokyo Narita, we are planning to arrive there at about 0800 UTC. So, looking into this, light showers of rain, few clouds. So just some low-lying clouds, and it looks like the showers and the gusts are coming in after us at 0900, but that's rather close to our arrival time. Looking at our alternate, Tokyo Haneda, they actually have heavy showers of rain, 1500 meters over here. And, well, we are not gonna go to Osaka today, with the gusts at 48 knots. So the bad weather is coming from down south. If we have a look at Chubu, that's up to the north if I'm not mistaken. And over here they also have the temporary bad weather. Well, in that case we gotta be exact. So 0840 is our arrival time. Well, let's do the exact weather then. So 0800, that means we gotta take the tempo weather into account. It's a runway 34, so that is actually almost down the runway, so nothing to be concerned about. Then looking at Tokyo Haneda, that weather is definitely applicable down here. But this one should be over. So this is just temporarily till 0500. So by the time we would arrive in Osaka, we are generally looking at calm conditions and the bad weather should be through. So Osaka is usual alternate. Okay, then let's go up and check what that means for our fuel usage. So, Osaka is 5000 kilos extra fuel. Well, that's fine for me, we can do that. So we are looking at 132 tons plus 5, so 137 tons of fuel. If we take a quick look up here, that leaves us within the landing weight, or within the maximum landing weight and within the maximum takeoff weight. Okay, so 137 tons it is. Then we are going to load in the passengers, and in terms of the fuel, we'll take 137, and you can load that as well. Perfect. Okay, very good. So that stuff was the easy part. Now let's go for our charts, and we do have a code letter Foxtrot taxi chart for Dubai, and then our SID is going to be the Ivuro 1 Foxtrot. Let's go ahead and find that chart. Ivuro 1 Foxtrot, here it is. And we are definitely going to go for the night version of those charts. Okay, wonderful. So that's the easy part down here. Last but not least, we must go ahead and do some calculations, some takeoff calculations. So let's go ahead and use SimBrief for that. So takeoff performance, and we are gonna make ourselves a little bit heavier here. Let's calculate 500 tons. So 30 right, we'll take a shortening by 500 meters. Okay, shorten length, and that's gonna be 500. Okay, the rest is looking good. And calculate, please. Right, flaps 1 takeoff. Let's see what we get if we go for a flap 2 takeoff. Just for additional tail clearance. So that's looking good for me. 48 meters stop margin, limited by maximum takeoff weight, and that's still with the bleeds on. Perfect. Okay, so no problems leaving here whatsoever. I like that. Alright, well, very good. So that is our basics. Then, let's see, the APU is already running and supplying bleed air. then we can go ahead with our cockpit preparation while our colleague would be out for the walk around just now. Refueling is complete, so all the signs are coming on. And, well, I want it a little bit warmer here, please. You can give me 24 degrees. So that is looking good. Over here everything is looking good. Let's move down then and check our weather. So the QNH is 1014. That's easy. I can fly with that. And this is the 1st of November 2024. Well, UTC. Technically over here in Dubai it's already a day later, but that's fine. Squawk 2000 standby looking good, and everything down here is looking good. Then we can go right into the FMS. So, Emirates 318, Dubai to Narita, alternate, well, they say Haneda in here. Let's go ahead and change that. And we are looking for Romeo, Juliet, Bravo, Bravo in here, please. So, trip wind, let's see how much our average tailwind component is going to be. 57 knots. Beautiful. So, tail 57. Then let's see, IRSs aligning on the GPS position. Departure, runway 30 right, and we're looking at the Ivuro 1 Foxtrot departure, please. And for our arrival, we're looking at runway 34 left for the time being, with an ILS approach onto 34 left. Our star is going to be the Swamp Tango arrival. So, Swamp Tango, and let's see about our transition is Tyler. So, via Tyler. Excellent. Temporary flight plan and insert. Now, we do have a lot of restrictions over here. Let's go ahead and check those to make sure that our plan and our SID has correctly loaded. Okay, Ivuro 1 Foxtrot is on here, and that is straight at Delta Bravo 570, minimum 180 knots. And it looks like it only knows at 180 knot restrictions. Well, we'll deal with that. Okay, so then we continue via Delta Bravo 560, minimum 190, Delta Bravo 576, maximum 220, above 3000. And we have all of those. Alright, to continue, Delta Foxtrot 568 above 4000, Kunpi, Obrok, Davmo above 12,000. Is that right? No, I'm lying to you. We are leaving via Ivuro, not via Davmo. Okay, so we are looking at Delta Bravo 569 above 4000, Cooper above 5000, Ukra above 7000. And indeed, that is exactly what we have. And then we continue via Vaxab above 10,000, Ludev 11,000, Get It, Ivuro, and indeed that is exactly what we have in here. Okay, wonderful. Then let's go back to the initialization. Nav aids, we don't need any over here. Fuel and loads, and this is going to be the interesting part now. So we're planned at a zero fuel weight of 363.8. Alright, and that comes with a center of gravity, which is unknown so far. And in the absence of any actual information, we just enter 25. So, fuel is 137 tons on board. So, 137. Taxi fuel, 1000. And then alternate and final reserves. That is something we should be a little bit more careful with right now. So, let's see. Our alternate fuel is 13.4. And the final reserve fuel is 5,000 exactly. Alright, so that is looking good. Then, minimum fuel at destination 18.4. This tells me a negative extra for the time being, but I have a feeling that this might just not be entirely accurate, because if you look up here, you've got destination Narita, and that one already has 23 tons of estimated fuel on board, which looks a little bit more believable if you ask me. Alright, nonetheless, let's continue with our takeoff performance, and this is going to be a flaps 2 takeoff. Runway 30 right is correct, and SimBrief tells us flex temperature of 54 degrees. So flex, and that's going to be 54. And the takeoff speeds for this one are 139, 151, 157. Alright. So, reduction and acceleration, we can make that 1000 over the ground each. Like that. Transition altitude 13,000 is okay. And I will do pre-select over here of 220 knots. The background why I'm doing this is our speed restrictions over here, which the FMS only knows 180 and 190 over here and over here, but it doesn't know that these are minimum speeds. For this reason, by going on to the climb panel and selecting 220, the aircraft will open the speed window after takeoff when reaching the thrust reduction altitude and the acceleration altitude, and it will go to 220 straight away. That way we get 220 over here, and as soon as we are past those two speed restrictions, we'll just manage the speed again, and that's our problem solved. Alright, so I think that's it for the time being. Cruising 350, optimum 350, maximum 365 is looking very good. Then we can leave all of that as it is for now. And that's it. Perfect. Alright, so on to the FCU then. QNH is 1014. Airports, traffic, here we go. Flight directors on. Initial climb most likely gonna be 4,000, I guess. And the same on the other side over here. And that's it. Alright. Perfect. So, are you ready for the briefing? Suppose that's a yes. Okay, so it's going to be Dubai, runway 30 right for the departure, and our SID is the Evuro 1 Foxtrot departure, climbing initially 4,000 feet. 3,000 keeps us safe as our departure is taking us straight out over the open water, and I have, yeah, no extra fuel. Don't think we'll need it. Okay. Oh, that was a little bit laggy there. But anyway, here we go. So, for the taxi, we have one hotspot, which is crossing the parallel runway 30 left. So let's go ahead and bring up the OANS down here so that we can see that one in action. Our pushback is most likely going to be into Zulu with the aircraft facing to the left. I do expect to be crossing 30 left today. I'm not going to go all the long way around. So pushback is going to be onto here, then taxi out straight out and crossing in Kilo 11. And we have already calculated for an intersection over here, which is the 500 meters runway shortening that I've entered in our SimBrief flight plan. Okay, now, in case of an engine out, we are going to proceed on the runway track, 25 miles, climbing 3,000, and then we decide on the further action. Now, if we need to do an immediate return, Dubai is our best option in the area. However, we are about 100 tons above the maximum landing weight, so 120 tons actually. So, yeah, what are we going to do? Well, we are going to read the overweight landing checklist and return, or we are going to consider fuel dumping only if the situation is bad enough that we suspect, well, any sort of damages to the landing gears, anything that reduces our capability to do the immediate return and land overweight safely. Now, I forgot the stop margin earlier on. That's just about 50 meters, so not incredibly much, but sufficient for our flight. In terms of special operations, I have nothing. In terms of non-standard operations, I have our pre-selected speed of 220 knots in order to meet the first speed restriction a little bit better. And that's it. Do you see any threats for the departure? No, me neither. Perfect, so that's our departure briefing completed. Alright, let's go ahead and do the cockpit preparation checklist, please. So, gear pins and covers removed. Fuel quantity, that's 136,900 kilos. And that's balanced. Barrel reference, QNH 1014. Cockpit preparation checklist complete. Okay, let's say hello to our passengers. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening from the flight deck. This is your captain speaking. My name is Emmanuel. In the name of Emirates, welcome aboard Flight 318 to Tokyo Narita. Today's flight time is going to be 9 hours and 20 minutes. We expect a smooth flight at an altitude of 35,000 feet, later on 37,000 feet. Thank you very much for being our guests today. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight with us. And if there is anything we can do for you to make it more enjoyable, please do not hesitate to ask any of our charming cabin crew. Once again, welcome aboard. Make yourself comfortable and enjoy the flight aboard this lovely Airbus A380. Okay, so passengers are dealt with. Then let's go over the load sheet and the final information. So our zero fuel weight is 363.8. And that's exactly per the forecast. CG 32.4. 137 tons and 484 passengers, cost NX30. That is looking good. Gives us a takeoff weight of 499.8. And we did calculate with a takeoff weight at 500 tons, so our numbers are valid. Perfect. So we don't need to change any of this. THS for takeoff is going to be 39.8 as per the gross weight CG down here. Packs on, anti-ice off, flaps 2, 54 degrees flags. That is all looking good. Perfect. Then we can leave everything as it is. Alright then, let's go ahead and close the doors. So, close that one and disconnect the jet bridge, please. If they may. Okay, that's looking good. The cargo doors are closed already, so everything is done down here. Very nice. Then, let's go for our pushback. So that would be the moment where our colleague is going to get the pushback clearance. Ground from flight deck. Go ahead. So you can remove the external power. Please confirm all doors and hatches are closed, ground equipment is removed, and the bypass pin is installed. That's all confirmed, and we are ready to push. Roger, pushback approved on Zulu, park and brake set. Release your park and brake, please. Park and brake released, clear to push. Let us know when we can start the engines, please. So, I am going to use the fly-by-wire pushback system over here, and that has a very good reason. Now, fly-by-wire did actually develop quite a good system. Let's go ahead and start the pushback down here. And when we are moving, I want to show you a couple things. We got to cover a little bit distance here though, so before we do anything else, let's do the before start checklist, please. Okay, park and brake, released, takeoff speeds and thrust, V1 139, VR 151, V2 157, flex 54. Okay, before start checklist complete. Now something I really like about the fly-by-wire is when you're approaching those taxiways, you can tell the tug the direction into which to move, and then it is going to draw that line for us, telling us exactly where we will end up in the pushback. So that is something I do really appreciate. Makes it really easy to control your pushback properly. So that's a really nice invention. Probably something very easy to program, but something that nobody else has. Okay, ground. We are going to start engines 1, 2, 3, 4 in that sequence, and we're starting 1 and 2 now. Clear 1 and 2. Okay, engine 1 and 2 start. Start is fully automatic, so we can focus on our pushback once again. So, as you can see, I'm simply gonna overlay that turn with the taxiway center line, and that's it. Now we're getting pushed exactly onto the center line. Easy as that, isn't it? Okay, ground, you can stop the pushback over here, please. So, disconnecting the tug, and the push is complete. Set brakes. Brake set, starting engines 3 and 4. So, engine 3 and 4 start. For some reason, that chart doesn't want to turn dark. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, if that's not working, we'll just turn that entire tablet off, because we have our taxi charts down here. So, the engines are almost ready. Okay, ground flight, we have 4 good engine starts. You're clear to disconnect. Show me the sign on the right, please, with the pin, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. Okay. So, the clear sign is observed. After start checklist, please. Anti-ice, off. After start checklist, complete. Flight control check. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral. Rudder. Full left. Full right. Neutral. Request taxi, please. Clear right side. Clear left side. And let's turn those lights down. Here we go. Parking brake is released. Let's bring the viewpoint up to something that's a bit more realistic, something like that, and off we go. Now, I'm excited to see how the A380 is going to taxi at this weight. Have to admit I didn't try that before. Okay, brake check. Pressure 0. So we do actually need quite a bit of power to get moving here. Okay, so looks like the AI is using the wrong runway. Then let's go ahead and turn them off. Remove traffic, please. Thank you. Okay, so straight ahead over here, and then we're gonna go left over here, and then via Kilo 11 we're going to cross runway 30 left. So, takeoff config is good. And I have no changes to the takeoff briefing. We can keep everything as we briefed it. Let's dim those floodlights a little bit. This is looking much better in my opinion. Okay, so not the first left, but the second left. I believe that is where the Zulu Romeo sign is, just over there. Clear on the left side, and clear on the right side. I just saw that red beacon over there. I was like, is that an airplane coming? But no, it's not. Okay, so that's the first one, and here comes the second. So we go to the left over here, and we're going to cross runway 30 left. There is nobody on the departure or on the approach over there. Looking excellent. Okay, clear on the right side, clear on the left side, clear to cross runway 30
Approaching
left.
1, 2, right.
Checked and clear to cross. Okay, taxi checklist please. So, flight controls, checked, flap setting, conv 2, radar on, taxi checklist complete. Okay, so that's 30 left, crossing completed once the plane is behind the line. 30 right, straight ahead, we can take Mike 14 Alpha, we have calculated sufficient runway length. 4,051 meters are available over here. Well, in that case, cabin crew, prepare for departure. So, strobes are on, lights are on, packs remain on, and TCAS on.
Approaching 30 right.
Intentionally. So, lineup checklist please. Takeoff runway, 30 right, cabin crew advised, packs 1 and 2 on, lineup checklist complete. It's really losing speed on that tiny bit of uphill over here. That's probably better. Okay, we will ignore that AI over there, and with that, I'd say, takeoff.
On runway 30 right.
Manflex 54, SS runway, auto thrust blue. Thrust set. 1. Rotate. Positive climb. Gear up. Nav. Checked. Autopilot 1. Come on, don't get overly aggressive. We will accelerate in a couple of moments anyway. So here we go, passing the acceleration altitude, and you can see 220 became selected.
Traffic.
Frostline climb out blue. T-car's blue. Yeah, please just ignore him, yeah? Okay, flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1. So, the green dot speed is 229. That means we'll have to keep the flaps in the 1 position for the time being. Okay then, let's continue the climb. And once we're past Delta Bravo 560 over here, that is where we can push our speed knob in again, go back to managed speed, and therefore continue to accelerate. Okay, passing Delta Bravo 560. Speed managed. And that is looking quite good. So, let's go a little bit higher already, something about level 150 or so. Awaiting overflying Delta Bravo 576 so that we can continue to accelerate and retract the flaps. So, overflying 576 right now, the managed speed should go up any moment. It should go up any moment. Here we go. Okay, pitch is coming down. We have the positive trend vector, flap 0. Speed checked, flap 0. Okay. No after takeoff checklist over here. But something we can do already so that we don't have to do it later is to get rid of the departure change checklist. So I'm just going to click all that good stuff away. So that way later on we have the approach checklist ready straight away. Okay, so things are looking very, very good. Let's go ahead and turn a couple of lights on already. Ambient light is coming on to a certain extent. That way we can at least see what we are doing inside here. And with that we can also turn the main panel floats a little bit stronger. So, passing 10,000. Let's see where our pitch is gonna end up. We are pretty heavy. Just 13 tons shy of the max takeoff weight, but we'll just wait a moment here with the passengers. They have 9 hours to come, so I'm not at all worried. Okay, the nose is coming back up. We need a pitch at or below 7.5 in order to be able to release our passengers. It looks like we're going a little bit above that. Tell you what, let's go select it and increase the speed a little bit. If we do 320 knots rather than 290, then our pitch should definitely stay below 7.5. And with that in mind, seatbelts auto. Okay, so continue the climb. Flight level 350 is going to be our first cruising level. And indeed, optimum 350, maximum 365. So we're pretty good at where we are right now. Set standard. Standard cross check, passing flight level 134 now. Checked. Okay. So, a last look on the United Arab Emirates, and then we will be back probably in about 36 hours. Let's think about it. About 24 hours till the next airplane comes here. Well, we'll be back in 48 hours. That's fine with me. Okay, well, and with that, there is not all that much left for us to do. There is a little bit of stuff that I would start to program now on a long haul, but unfortunately the fly-by-wire still does not have many of those features. For example, the flight plan info page down here is completely missing for the time being. But on the more positive side, 20.6 tons of fuel on our arrival versus about 18 tons of reserves, so that is quite okay. And overall, expected time of arrival 0909. I believe the schedule is 0910. Or is it actually a bit later? Well, let's see. (0820). I don't believe that. I must have done a mistake in the hours. It must be 0920. And that is actually quite fine. Lovely rate of climb still, but yeah, a couple of you guys pointed it out in the comments underneath my earlier videos. The rate of climb is a little bit excessive at the moment, and you guys are of course absolutely right with that, so it's probably climbing a little bit better than it should. But I found that winding the speed up to 320 knots or Mach 0.85 in the climb really brings the rate of climb down in the higher altitudes, and gives you a little bit more believable, a little bit more realistic, well, pitch, vertical speed, and so on. Okay. Well, so with that said and done for the time being, I'd say we bring you back onto the performance page, please. Optimum 350, maximum 356. Now, in the real world, what we do is to go to the flight plan page now and enter all our step climbs and stuff like that. Unfortunately, for the time being, the fly-by-wire doesn't support those. So, if we go to the step altitudes down here, we can see not implemented for the time being. Well, then we'll just have to do them manually, but basically speaking, what many Airbus operators do is you simply do the step climbs in accordance with the flight plan down here. Or you use an external tool. For instance, my airline is now using the so-called Flight Path Optimizer, and that's a really good tool. It basically connects to the internet live, downloads your aircraft's ACARS data, and then it is able to calculate the best flight profile live on the go. And that deviates from the FMS optimum rather often. For that reason, we would normally just go ahead and do the step climbs either based on the FPO or just based on our flight plan down here. I think for today's flight, if we just do it based on the flight plan, that should be more than good enough. So, what's next for us then? At Purpa, we are going to enter Chinese airspace, so we are going to change over to flight level 10,700 meters. That's going to be just down here. Basically, 10,700 meters equals flight level 351, so that's about as easy as it gets. At NOLAB, that's about an hour and 10 later, we're gonna go 11,300 meters, equals flight level 371. But those are the interesting points that we have for our flight for the time being. Now, since we are gonna go into Chinese airspace, the meters button up here is of course going to be one of the important tools. Unfortunately though, fly-by-wire does actually not simulate it for the time being. So we'll just have to help ourselves, but we can easily do that by simply changing the altitude up here on the FCU. So that's about as easy as it gets. So getting into the higher altitudes, our vertical speed is slowly coming down to a sensible level as well. But you can see I'm flying quite a bit faster than the magenta speed. So something I like about the A380 is that your managed speed is shown to you with that magenta dot down here, while the selected speed obviously is active at the moment. That is something that the older Airbuses didn't do, so I really do appreciate that. Let's see, for the cruise we're looking at Mach 0.82, which seems just about fine for me. Nonetheless, let's do a little bit faster in the climb over here so that we keep a decent descent rate. 0.83 sounds just about good to me. So let's switch over, Mach 0.83 over here. That way the nose comes up a tiny bit and we are going to gain a little bit of acceleration. So, quick check of the flight plan, 23 minutes till the top of climb. Well, we are going to be a little bit faster than that. What do we need here? 3 or maybe 4 minutes to get up to flight level 350. So then we're looking at about 17, 18 minutes. Yep. That is quite a bit faster than what Simreef has predicted here. So that is exactly what we know of our systems anyway already. The engines are just a little bit strong right now. Right, apart from that, everything is looking good on the overhead panel, everything is looking good over here. I do think if we go ahead and start accelerating things a little bit, then I will see you as we are getting closer to our destination and start with our approach setup. So sit back, relax and enjoy the flight with us on board our beautiful Airbus A380. everyone, we are slowly getting into the region of our top of descent and we can start to prepare our arrival into Tokyo. So first things first, let's go ahead and have a look at the latest weather over here. And looking into the actual weather conditions, it's pretty close to what was forecast. So we've got few clouds in 200 broken, in 300 broken, in 500. 20 degrees at least, QNH 1007, and the wind is coming from the northeast, which, let's see, they've got a runway 34 over there, so the wind is pretty much immediately cross. Well, with those general conditions, let's go ahead and find some charts for our arrival. And what we can do off screen over here is to have a quick look at Flight Radar 24 to see which runways are active in the real world at the moment. And indeed they are using runway 34. With the current landings going into 34 right. And well, that looks like a general database to start working on. Now, something that you got to keep in mind when you are flying the Airbus A380 is that some runways may not be suitable for the aircraft. So it's always a good idea just to have a look into Flight Radar, for example, and check what runway the real aircraft has been landing on. So, for example, over here we can see they've been using the long runway. And if we just take a general look at the history of flights, then we can check which other runways have been used. So, for example, over here they are once again landing southerly, but on the long runway maybe we can check another flight. Over here they landed north, and they've also landed on 34 left and then parked right up here. So that's something that we are going to remember already, so that we know where to taxi realistically. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's go ahead and start picking up our charts. So we'll start with the taxi charts down here. And first things first, do they have a dedicated taxi chart for code letter Foxtrot aircraft? Which the A380 is. Special notice to A380 operators. Yep, there we go already. So, runway. The only available runway for the A380 is 16 right, 34 left, and the A380 is not permitted to use the other runway. It is required to use digital avionics, modern digital autopilot or flight director, one track hold guidance. Okay, well, that's all fine. And I tend to say if we simply follow the taxi routing of the real aircraft that we've just looked up, then we shouldn't have any problems there. Okay. So, this is good to know already. Then let's continue with our actual charts. So we are landing on 34 left today. So taxi route, arrivals, 34 left. That seems to be a chart for us. So basically onto Alpha, Sierra, Charlie, and then via Charlie over here onto the apron. That's fine. We can mark that and pin that one already. So for our arrivals then, we do have the Swamp arrival today, and if we just go up in the flight plan, it is the Swamp Tango arrival. Let's go ahead and have a look at what that looks like. So Swamp Tango, on here it is. Pin that one, and then let's go ahead. The arrival starts over at Swamp, and we do have a couple of vertical constraints on here. Those should cover for our actual arrival. Now, looking at the route over here, I tend to say direct to Swamp would be something that we could definitely expect from air traffic control, so let's go ahead and do that. So, direct to Swamp. Insert. Let's see what that does to the top of descent, which surely isn't that far out. Nope, here it comes in 8 nautical miles. That's perfectly fine. Well, let's go ahead and start our descent already, so that we can nicely intercept our profile. We'll make something like flight level 250 at first here. Thrust idle descent alt flight level 250 blue. Now, while our initial descent is in progress, let's go ahead and grab the remainder of our charts. So 3, 4 left, and it is going to be an ILS approach over there. Here we go. So let's see, that gives us a couple of Dubai charts which we can get rid of, and that looks like everything we need for our destination. Alright, then we can go ahead and start checking our arrival routing. So, from Swamp to Wixen, player, Miffy above 9000. Let's see that down here. So, Swamp, Wixen, player. And then we proceed via Karma towards Unari, and then via Dream we have the long way around into the direction of the final. And Dream is 220 at 10,000, which we do have in here indeed. Alright, then we proceed via a couple of ANAV points and Hydra. Also at 10,000, 220 knots towards Peaks, 6,000, and then on towards Tyler. And from Tyler we are going to join the final approach. Now, it is very likely that we're going to get a shortcut over here, but the 10,000 feet at Dream constraint is basically going to cover for any such shortcut that we might expect today. Alright, then we can start having a look at the ILS chart. So, ILS 3 for left, give me that in full screen please. From Tyler, 4,000 towards Gina, 4,000, and then Cosmo, 4,000. And it looks like they indeed want a level segment over here, so this is looking quite right. 3-degree glide, which matches the chart. And for the missed approach, we proceed to 1,000 feet on heading 337, then turn left, climb to 6,000 via heading 142, intercept, proceed outbound November Romeo Echo VOR. Radio 187 towards Gumyo, then turn left, proceed outbound Hotel Mike Echo, Radio 110 via... oh god, that sounds complicated. Well, that is probably a very good way to check how good the fly-by-wire LNAV actually is. Lots of intercept points over here, so rather difficult RNAV procedure to display. Okay, so we make that left-hand turn. Via Gumyo, intercept, 160, Brinks. Okay, so the only problem it senses seems to be that first turn over here. But that's gonna be fine. We are just gonna do that stuff manually. So that turn towards Gumyo, we'll just do that ourselves, and that should solve all our problems. Okay. So, then let's go ahead and go into our performance pages. So the descent will be fully managed. Let's go for the approach itself. And we've got the wind 060 at 7. So temperature 20, QNH 1007. Okay, another look at the chart, and the minimum is 339. Transition level 140. Let's go ahead and do some landing calculations and see what we can come up with. So for that we are going to use our SimBrief performance calculator one more time. So let's go ahead and bring that up. So, landing performance, and our current gross weight is 406.7, estimated landing weight 381.7. Let's calculate 385 just to be on the safe side over here. So 385 tons. And calculate. And looking at those conditions, yep, wet is fine. And what do we have here? Actual landing distance. Factored landing distance 2,500, that leaves us a 1,500 meters margin. Now, what happens if we go config 3? 1,369 meters margin. That seems more than sufficient for my taste, so we can actually do config 3 landing over here. Okay, so config 3 is selected, and for the go-around we can keep the 1,500. And the engine out acceleration in this sector is 4,000. Okay. So that's looking good. That's everything set. Last but not least, we can go ahead and set the brake to vacate. And thank you very much to everyone who pointed me to the correct usage of the brake to vacate on the previous video. That is very much appreciated. So what we're going to do is, first of all, go to plan mode, then into zoom, find our landing runway, and now what's very important is that we select the runway first. That's why it didn't work on a couple of my previous videos. So the runway is now selected, and now we can go ahead and select the exit. They want us to select something that's at or beyond the wet figure, so let's go ahead with Alpha 4. So that exit is 1,847 meters down the runway, which leaves us with a runway occupancy time of 61 seconds and a turnaround time of 186 minutes, so around about 3 hours. I tend to say that's a bit long. Let's go with Alpha 3. That's probably quite a bit better over here. And that is going to be our final figure. So now that this is selected, let's select BTV, and that's it. Alright, let's continue our descent down to, well, let's start at flight level 150 over here. Alright, and then we can go back to our standard nav display, and that's it. Okay, excellent. So, unfortunately it is already dark once again. What a flight. You're leaving in the middle of the night, and then you're coming back, and it is dark once again. Alright, we can live with that. Now, some of you have asked me on the previous video, when we did encounter that stuttery... frame rate, how can you get out of it? It's quite easy. Just go to windowed mode and back. By default, that's Alt-Enter. That brings you from full screen into windowed, and then press Alt-Enter again. That brings you back into the full screen mode. And that normally solves the problem. So that makes our life fairly easy. Alright, so that is our initial setup completed. Let's go ahead and turn on the fasten seatbelt signs here. And, well, are we in IMC? Probably. Temperature plus 11, so we don't need anti-ice. That's good. Okay then, are you ready for the approach briefing? Yes, sir. Alright, so the entire arrival and approach routings are checked. Our arrival is the Swamp Tango for an MSA of 4,000 feet and an ILS approach onto runway 34 left. The minimum is at 339, and for the go-around we'll have to fly that first turn in heading select, and then we can give ourselves a direct to the first point that is actually drawn correctly on the RNAV routing over here, and thereafter we can fly it all RNAV. Climbing to altitude 6,000 feet. In terms of extra fuel and time, we're carrying 42.7 tons at the moment, which is more than plenty of extra fuel, which actually leaves us with one problem, and that is our maximum landing weight. So if we just go back to our EFB over here, we can see the max landing weight is 395 tons. Now we are 10 tons above that. What are we going to do against this? Well, I tend to say, number one, we are going to fly fast. So let's bring that speed up over here, 330 knots. And make sure that we are using quite a bit of thrust over here to actually get ourselves down to the maximum landing weight. Looks like we did use quite a bit less fuel than what was forecast. Well, that's something we need to evaluate. If we have a quick look down here, fuel usage in the descent now is around 12 tons an hour. That would mean we need an entire hour in the holding to get us down to the maximum landing weight. Well, that is something I want to avoid if at all means possible, but we'll see if we'll actually be able to do so. Okay, for the time being, let's descend altitude 10,000 and set QNH. QNH 1007 cross-check, passing 16,600. Now, checked. Okay, well, that's that part. Then let's go ahead with our briefing then. So We will fly the approach manually, flight director guidance, manual thrust, and we will be right down at the max landing weight, so that is something to consider for us. However, no special procedures required. Now, landing config 3, stop margin is more than plenty, reversers will be used, auto brakes brake to vacate. Planned runway exit is the second rapid exit taxiway to the right hand side, and I don't see any hotspots for the taxi in. In terms of special operations, we just gotta burn 10 tons of fuel somehow. And, well, that's it. Any threats? No? Perfect. Okay, well, in that case, let's go ahead and enter ourselves a holding. So, flight plan, let's see if there is any published hold on the Swamp arrivals. Indeed there is, at Karma. And that's 168 inbound, left turns. So, Karma, hold, 168, left turns, 1 minute lag time, and that's looking fine. Okay, insert, and then let's see how the aircraft is actually going to fly that hold. If we can go back to manage speed down here. So we even do get to fly holding over here. Who would have thought that? Certainly I didn't. I would have expected, since we are using the custom profile from fly-by-wire here, I would have expected that we are flying on a little bit more accurate fuel consumption, but doesn't look like it. So what lesson do we learn out of this? Well, be a little bit careful when you are planning your flights over here and have a look at your fuel status. That would have helped. That would definitely have helped. Alright, well, gotta burn some 10 tons of fuel. I suppose there is no way around this, so let's get down to the maximum landing weight. Once our speed has decreased to the holding speed, we are going to have a look at how our fuel consumption is gonna look like. Now, the aircraft wants to go down to 210. We are gonna do a little bit more. We can do 230 at these altitudes. So let's set that. So here we go, 230 selected. Vertical speed minus 1500, and with that we are going to fly it down towards 10,000, then pick up the holding over there, and I suppose I see you again a little bit later as we are going to burn that fuel. Alright, well, I have decided we are going to trick ourselves a little bit, so we are in the holding right now, and we can do a couple of calculations. First of all, how much fuel did we use? We used 95.2 tons of fuel. Now, if we compare that with SimBrief, we can see SimBrief had a planned en route burn of 114 tons almost. In other words, we used 20 tons less fuel than what would have been expected. That is a significantly decreased fuel usage from what we would have expected. So, that's that. Now let's go ahead and try and find a solution. So, of course, in the real world, you would not dump fuel for a situation like this. However, for the simulator, I'm really interested to see if fuel dumping is simulated over here. So, let's see. If we go into the abnormal procedures, then we find out those are not simulated. Okay, so we don't have the abnormal procedures down here. Those are what would normally be used for the fuel dumping. Well, in the absence of those, I guess there is only one thing for us to do, and that is improvise it ourselves. So, I do remember seeing some data for that. So, let's see, fuel and load, jettison gross weight, here we are. That looks much, much better. So, suppose we're gonna go into here, and we are looking for 395 tons. Okay. And with that entered, fuel, jettison, arm, active. So let's see if that fuel jettison actually works. Let's have a look at the fuel page down here. Not really any information on there whether it is actually dumping something, but this is what I would expect it to work like. Now, I'm not exactly sure what kind of fuel jettison rate to expect in the A380. The A330 would give you about a ton per minute. The A380 I would expect probably a little bit more. But I suppose we are just going to monitor this and see how that's going to go. Let me start a timer over here and see what's going to happen. Okay, well, we do figure that a minute is over and the aircraft has not actually dumped anything. Is there any safeguard in place? Probably not, so I suppose the fuel jettison system is not simulated at the moment. Okay, well, in that case there is only one way how we can help ourselves out, and that is by removing 10 tons of fuel from the tanks. I just hope that this is actually working in the air. Looks like it though. So let's see, we currently have 41.1, so we're looking at 31.1. And let's make that 32.1 over here, because we are still looking at burning a little bit for our approach. Okay, 32.1, here we go. And that's in. Now we are just 900 kilos above the max landing weight, so we are good to go. Alright, so with that we can proceed and leave our holding. So, flight plan, hold left, and interestingly enough there is no leave hold point or arm exit or something the likes. Well, let's go over here and have a look at the hold page. Nope. Okay, well in that case, direct to dream, if you will. Looks like it doesn't. Direct, MacG. Alright, that's looking better. So, direct to insert, and with that we are out of the hold. And we are down to the maximum landing weight. Not the prettiest solution, but it is a solution at least. Right, let's get that speed back up towards 250. Landing lights on, seatbelts on, LS on, and constraints are selected. Okay, not the prettiest solution, but what can you do? So if we do a little bit of mathematics there, then our fuel used is about 96 tons. By the time we land, maybe 97 or so. Simbrief predicted 114, so if we do a little bit of mathematics there, then let's say 97 tons. So we are actually burning about 15% less fuel than what we should be burning, which is quite significant on a long-haul aircraft. I suppose we'll have to do a little bit of tricks and play with it to see how the actual fuel numbers are evolving, but this would definitely be somewhat of a problem. Alright then, let's go ahead and give ourselves a little shortcut here, heading to 10 and descend 7000. Alright, thrust idle, open descent, heading. And then we are below 10,000, we're on QNH. Let's just check that this is still the latest. And 1007 it is indeed. Okay, perfect. Well then, approach checklist. So, barrel reference, QNH 1007. Minimum, barrel 339. Auto brake, BTV. And that's the approach checklist complete. Okay, so quite a bit of headwind over here. I suppose we can just go vertical speed minus 1000 and then turn another 20 degrees to the right, heading to 30. Now in the real world I would go for direct 2 radial in. Unfortunately they don't seem to have that simulated at the moment, so if we go over here, let's say we take Gina, and then it would be course in. Unfortunately that's not selectable. So let's just do direct to insert. And then we'll just fly direct to Gina, and via Gina we are going to join the final. Now the good thing is, looking at this over here, well, why is our speed reducing? No. You stay over here, please. And then down towards 4000. Thrust idle open descent. I don't want to reduce my speed with a headwind of 56 knots over here. We're already just doing 230 knots over the ground, which is fast enough if you ask me. Alright, let's go TCAS below so that we can see what's going on. Couple of aircraft approaching from here. We'll have to fit ourselves into the sequence somehow. Okay, so normally I do the radial indirect. Unfortunately, this is not simulated at the moment, so we'll just have to improvise for this. So, vertical speed minus 1400. Basically, I want to manage my descent so that we don't get to spend too much time down level. Even though we are approaching over the water, I really want to avoid that. Flying level in 3000 feet now, with the engines not running in idle. Coming in just below the glide slope, that is exactly what we would be asking for. And since we receive the glide slope, we can use the vertical speed mode in order to keep ourselves around a dot or so below it. And then on the final turn, we are going to lose that speed and intercept the glide for a nice and decelerated approach. So that is pretty much all it takes over here. So then, let's bring ourselves back into a proper point of view for our landing. I will keep the ambient lights on for a little bit, but we will turn them off before landing, or at least dim them down, so that we can properly see something in sight. The diesel point seems a little bit early to me over here. That's 10 miles inbound to Gina, with a 45 knot headwind. Seems a bit early. I will keep selected speed 250 until maybe 5 miles from Gina, and then we'll start to reduce our speed, and that should work out fairly fine. The A380 seems to decelerate very well, which is quite a contrast to the other Airbus wide bodies. The others are really hard to slow down, but if the A380 provides us proper slowing capabilities, then those are what we are definitely going to use. Okay, nice and parallel to the glide slope. That's just about perfect. Well, so not all that much to do. Speed. Well, there is one more thing to do. Cabin crew, prepare for landing. Normally we should give that 10 minutes before, but they know when we are landing. They have all the relevant information on their displays on the cabin. So you give me the full flight plan, please. That's looking good. So we get level about 4 miles before Gina. With that headwind, we'll easily lose our speed. And one aircraft approaching Gina right now, and well, this guy's 15 miles out. He will be behind us. Even though 5 miles separation behind an A380 are probably not going to be enough. that shall not be our problem. That's the problem of the guy behind us. Alright, so everything is looking fairly good over here. There's the preceding traffic. Interesting that we can see their lights, even though, well, we can see a couple of the lights on the ground there as well. With the current weather forecast, I would have expected that we're completely IMC. Alright, then let's go ahead and dim those lights. Here we go. Speed managed. So, 4.6 miles towards Gina, Alt Star. The speed will be coming back nicely now. If we are at a ground speed of 200 knots or less by the time we start the final turn, then everything is perfect. As you can see, we're down at 217 knots ground speed already, so this will go rather quick. I'll let the plane fly ourselves onto the final approach automatically. And we've reached our 200 knots ground speed. Easy going. Flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1. Okay, cleared for the ILS approach, runway 34 left. Cat 3 dual, autopilot 1 and 2, glide slope, localizer blue. Lock star. And the wind is turning into crosswind now. But the S-speed is pretty good over here, 185. That's a very decent speed for our ILS interception. Preceding traffic 5 miles out. Very good. Looks like we'll have a slight tailwind component over here. Runway 34. Current wind about 230. That means 20 degrees of tailwind component. At 36 knots. Yeah, that's maybe some 5 knots or so. Glide slope capture. Go around altitude 6000 set. Okay, the preceding is getting slower already. Flaps 2. Speed checked. Flaps 2. Alright, gear down. Flaps 3. Speed checked. Flaps 3. And that's the final setting. So, around 3 miles ahead of us. Perfect. Those are some bright landing lights, together with the reflections of the display, even though I'm wondering why we see reflections of the display over here, even though there is a glass shield over this. Probably shouldn't happen like this. So, I think this point of view is good for the landing. And well, if we really have to slow down further, we can go flaps full. But I think this is just going to be fine. 9 miles out. He can go up to 2.5 miles. And that will be good. Okay, so we are waiting for our landing checklist to come in, which is going to happen at 2,500 feet. At least I think in the A380 it is. Might be 2,000, like in the other Airbuses. Well, seeing that it's not here yet, it's probably going to come at 2,000 then, like it does on the other Airbuses. I thought it came a bit earlier in the 380, but I might be mistaken about that. So, it is raining a little bit. We can see the rain go over the windscreen over here. And there is our landing checklist at 2,000 feet indeed. Okay then. Landing checklist. ECAM memo. Landing no blue. Landing checklist complete. Preceding traffic steady at 3 miles. Perfect. Alright then, a quick check of the weather and... Scattered 300, Broughton 400. Yeah, that's fine. QNH still 1007. Tempo 3000 meters, showers of rain. But we can already see the ground on the side, so it's only a matter of time until it will come in sight in the front as well. Okay, so manual flight. And manual thrust. Approach lights in sight. That's actually
1,000.
quite a bit higher than I would have expected. But I'm not going to complain.
1,000.
Checked. Nice and stable. Still quite a bit of crosswind.
Approaching 3-4 left.
Check. Looks like we are entering some clouds again. The visibility on the runway is getting a little bit worse. But the approach lights are staying in sight. That's all we need. Okay, wipers on.
400. 100
Land. Check.
Minimum.
Continue.
$50, 40, 30, 20. Retard. 5.
Touchdown. Okay, spoilers, reverse green, BTV. So you should start braking. Well, it's going for that exit, so easy going. 70 knots. And here comes the braking.
500 meters remaining.
Manual brakes. So, perfectly brought us to the exit. What else can you ask for? Welcome to Tokyo, everyone. That little stutter on about 30 feet was a bit unfortunate, but hey, we got there. That's all we can ask for, isn't it? So let's go ahead and vacate the runway, and then we are going to turn the first to the right, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see that taxi chart again. Yeah, first to the right. One of the nice things about the A380 is you really don't have to be in a rush to vacate the runway. The wake turbulence separation behind this aircraft is so great that, you know, pretty much anything is going to have plenty of time behind us. Right, let's make sure we don't stop in the turn. We do need quite a bit of thrust over here. Alright. Runway vacated. Then our taxi routing is clear, initially straight ahead. Temperature is good, we can retract the flaps. And the APU is coming on. Last but not least, Takeoff standby. And that's it. Alright, now we can focus on the taxi once again. So, that was a nice little flight. Well, the surprise about the fuel usage was something I wouldn't have complained if we didn't have that. In any case, I will bring that forward to fly-by-wire and see what they are going to say. After all, we did use the fly-by-wire SimBrief profile, so I would have expected it to be accurate. But well, suppose we'll have to live with it. Okay, so we are going beam the airport and then left onto Sierra. Or beam the terminal, I should say. So that's Sierra right over there at the end of the ND. It looks so incredibly slow when you're looking outside, and when you are then looking inside and you see that you're doing 25 knots. Almost the maximum you're allowed to go. Quite incredible, isn't it? So, I think I can see the sign for Sierra coming up in the front right over here. No, that's Whiskey 11 at first, so Sierra is the one behind that. So the one over here, okay. Now if there is one thing that I have learned in my career as a pilot, it is that taxiing at an international airport, most certainly one as huge as, you know, Tokyo or Las Vegas or... insert your random favorite airport here. Heck, John F. Kennedy, of course. You know, it's not as easy as it seems in flight simulation. In flight simulation, if you go the wrong way around, okay, nobody cares. Unless maybe a VATSIM controller who tells you to use charts next time. In the real world, no. Don't do it. Okay, so we're on Sierra now, and we are going to go straight, and then, let's see, right onto Charlie, and then we follow Charlie all the way around until we enter the aprons up here at Sierra 6. Okay. So, this is Charlie coming up. Okay, so we continue via Charlie. Around that corner, then comes an apron on the left. Come on, aircraft, keep rolling. And our gate is going to be right up here. 60 something. Gate 66 to be completely on the same side over here. So we are going to go left on the Sierra 6 and then straight into gate 66 down here. Small roundabout over there, it seems, that we'll have to go around. Well, we'll manage. So speed is correcting. 30 knots is looking good. So here we are, taxiing the... well, do I call it largest passenger airplane in the world? Depends on how I define it. Most certainly the heaviest. Let's say largest. It sounds the best. Even though I know some of you are gonna say, but the 747 is larger. So, taxiing the largest airplane around the world. Around an airport that's got rainy conditions, in an airplane that we are pretty much unfamiliar with, on an airport that we're pretty much unfamiliar with. What could possibly go wrong? Okay, so left onto Sierra 6. So, now comes a little bit of maneuvering. Let's quickly call GSX as well. .66, it's not too small. No follow me needed, thank you. Handling by... yeah, let's take shitpot, because why not? At least then we don't have to worry about the delay. We know we're gonna have it. Okay, so straight over here, and our gate comes on the right hand side then. There's someone standing on our gate. Yeah, looks like it. Oh, wonderful. Okay, then we're gonna take the one to the left. Lights off. Of course, that last moment gate change means that we don't have any handling personnel here, but that's just like in the real world. So nothing to worry about. Let's see, any hold trap markings for the A380 down there? I can't see any. I see an A350. I'll tell you what, then we're just gonna go all the way to the front. Okay, I think something like this is gonna be fine. Let's bring it to a stop. Couple status here. So, parking brake is set. Let's bring the lights on. So, uno, dos, tres, cuatro. And let's get rid of this super annoying sound. Okay, here we are. So, engines running down. Cabin crew, all doors in park. Beacon off. Slides are disarmed. Seatbelts off. Ground power is available already. Excellent. And then come the fuel pumps. So, in this case, standby first, then main pump to avoid the standby pump from being activated. Like this. Couldn't hit that click spot over there. Okay. And that's it. Parking checklist. Park and brake shocks. That's the brake set. Wing lights off. Parking checklist completed. Alright, welcome to Tokyo. I do hope you enjoyed this one. Be sure to leave your feedback in the comments below. Last but not least, we have a couple of more checks to complete. So the fuel is distributed evenly, aka all the engines used a similar amount. Final figure, 99 tons of fuel used versus a predicted usage of 114, so that's 15 tons difference that we'll have to investigate when planning our next long haul. In any case, 9 hours and 22 minutes sounds like a very good time. Just about enough that we have to fly with 3 pilots instead of 2, which makes it a lot easier. So, thank you very much for flying along, everyone. I do hope you enjoyed this one. Be sure to leave your feedback in the comments below. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe. And if you really love what I'm doing on this channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and I see you all again on the next one.